Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
I'm Arian Xenos.
I'm Robert George.
I'm Christine Panton.
I'm Cameron Linden.
I'm Gavin Risa.
I'm Kaylee Blair.
I'm the Irredeemable Shag.
I'm Brandon Peters.
I'm Ellie Steele.
This is Chuck Lordens.
I'm Steve Higgins.
I'm Max Traver.
I'm Rich Fulham.
I'm Ross Aiken.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We've been teasing this for a little while now. It's the first part of the 1972 JLA-JSA team-up. Issue 100 of the Justice League of America, published on the 20th of June 1972, 2 days after Paul McCartney's 30th birthday, and a week or so before the comic that we did a few weeks ago with Superman and that weird Frankenstein guy, if you're paying attention. So, without further ado, we have a lot to get on with. Peter's going to tell you about the cover.
At the top, we have the usual Justice League of America shield with DC Justice League in the top left corner. All news stories, now only 20 cents. Down the left-hand column, we have part of the roll call for this issue, because certainly you can't fit it all in. We have Superman,
Batman,
The Flash,
Green Lantern,
Green Arrow. But the main image of this cover is a grave. There is an assemblage of heroes at this grave on the left-hand side. We have some members of the Justice League of America, Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern and Batman. On the right-hand side, we have some members of the Justice Society of America, Hourman, Starman, Dr. Fate and Wonder Woman. And above the grave, we have ghostly figures. From left to right, it's the Star-Spangled Kid, Stripesy, the Vigilante, the Shining Knight right in the centre, Crimson Avenger, Green Arrow and Speedy. And the words on the headstone say, "Here lies the unknown soldier of victory." And at the very bottom of this page, we have another banner that says, 33 heroes, 33! The greatest gathering of superstars ever recorded. The 10th annual team-up of the Justice League and Justice Society in search of the 7 Soldiers of Victory.
Yes, at last. Been prepping this one for a long time. We've been talking about it for ages. Recording started in February. I'm not going to tell you when recording completed. As you can probably tell from what we said in the past in our intro, we've roped in a few other friends and fam to help us out, a few other fellow podcasters. Thank you, everyone. I'm astonished that we all managed to fit into my living room, quite frankly. Without further ado, we shall get on with the story, because that's why we're all here. Our opening splash image is very similar to the cover. The monument in the centre, with Unknown Soldier of Victory, written on it to the left, the Earth 1 heroes of the Justice League of America, including a few that we don't see in the cover, and to the right, the Earth 2 heroes of the Justice Society, including another couple of heroes that we don't see in the cover, and looming above them all, that ghostly image of the 7 Soldiers of Victory. A nice little text caption with fancy writing says,
"You are cordially invited to attend the greatest single gathering of superheroes ever recorded, the 100th anniversary meeting of the Justice League of America."
And there's another larger caption underneath the very arresting opening image, and that reads,
"On a lonely, windswept mountain peak, a solitary grave stands in mute testimony to the courage of a man, a warrior who fell in defense of his world, whose name is known only to God. Now, after many long years, others come in search of this doomed champion's forgotten identity. Can even the greatest heroes of 2 different Earths uncover the secret of
the Unknown Soldier of Victory?" And the nice little scroll caption gives us the credits for this issue.
A monumental masterwork presented by Julius Schwartz, editor, Len Wein, writer, Dick Dillon and Joe Giella, artists, with thanks to the writers and artists who shaped this history-making adventure those many years ago.
Awesome. Right, over the page into the story proper. Panel 1, we see the satellite headquarters of the Justice League of America spinning through space, and a caption reads,
22,300 miles above Earth's emerald surface at Worlds. A silent sentinel eternally on the alert for danger. The orbiting headquarters of the Justice League of America. Within its metallic confines, intricate monitoring devices go about their tasks, sending information humming down the sterile corridors. But no one is there to notice.
We see the League's meeting room. empty chairs around an empty table, flashing lights and equipment, and with all this in mind, panel 3's caption says,
Instead, voices can be heard echoing through a great granite chamber, the original mountain sanctuary of the JLA.
and we see Aquaman, Black Canary, Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Hawkman walking through a passageway lined with old electronic equipment and fringed by cobwebs. Aquaman says,
Our 100th meeting. I can hardly believe it. Seems like only yesterday that we first came together. Who was it said that time flies?
and Green Arrow says,
Probably Methuselah. But what did he know? Feels like 1,000,000 years since I started slinging that bow of mine.
Hawkman, with a bit of a crabby expression on his face, turns to Green Arrow in the next panel and says,
Perhaps, Green Arrow, but you're not unique. We've all changed over the years. Out of necessity, I suppose.
Maybe so, maybe no. Just seems that the more we learn about ourselves, the less we really understand.
Green Lantern starts to speak in the next panel.
Hey, this is supposed to be a celebration. Let's...
The hero's heads whirl around and Hawkman exclaims,
The telephone! How can that be? We had it disconnected months ago.
Curiously, Hawkman plucks the receiver from its cradle and...
tiny figure bursts from the earpiece saying, Hi, hope I'm not late. Black Canary says,
Adam, how?
and standing on a surface with the others looking down at him, the Mighty Might says in reply, Easy, Black Canary, just a simple cross-circuiting trick I worked out. Hey, where is everybody? I figured the whole gang would be here by now. And a thoughtful Aquaman says,
So did we, Atom. Wonder what's detaining the others.
And on the off chance you're wondering too, dear reader, let's switch to a central city street and find out.
We see the Flash creating a whirlwind with his arms that's lifting a couple of bad guys into the air as the elongated man stretches and contorts and lifts 3 other bad guys up in his right arm. The Flash says, Let's wrap up the casino gang and get a move on, Ralph. We're running late for the Justice League celebration. To which Ralph says,
Right with you, Flash. This is one get-together I wouldn't miss for the world.
A slow dissolve, the caption for panel 4.
And countless light years away, there stands a man who will miss the meeting for precisely that reason.
And we see, with his back to the camera, so we can't see how his face is rendered at this point, John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, watching some very Earth-like building and construction going on. There's scaffolding and trucks and lorries and stuff going on. It's very, very interesting. John is thinking to himself,
I'd give almost anything to be with my Earth friends on this day of days. But there are more important things for me to do here. The Martian Manhunter has to rebuild a world.
and if you're so inclined, you could take a drink here because there are 2 great lumps of rock hanging in the sky over Mars, and this is probably maybe 2 of the moons of Mars, so technically, if you want to, you could take 2 drinks.
Deimos and Phobos.
Showing off there. Over the page to page 4, our first caption reads,
From a world builder, we shift to the palatial estate of a world beater, industrialist Simon Stagg.
Simon Stagg, making his first appearance in the podcast, I believe. Swept back, white hair, an angry-looking, irascible billionaire. He's shaking his fist and saying,
Mason, where in blue blazes do you think you're going?
and making his Earth 2 podcast debut properly, despite the fact we mentioned him the other week, it's the Element Man, Metamorpho, who at this point is transforming into an aeroplane and flying away, saying,
Sorry, Stagsy, old pal. Rex Mason may be on your payroll, but Metamorpho the Element Man goes where he wants to go. And right now, he's flying to a party.
Can you remember, Peter, when you first encountered Metamorpho?
I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember exactly. I think it was an issue of World's Finest
Okay.
that he guest starred in, and then shortly after that actually got one of his 60s appearances. What about yourself?
I'm not sure. I think it must have been that period in the mid-80s when I was a Marvel guy and would look at DC Comics if I saw them occasionally, and he was probably one of those characters that I saw on the cover of an issue of Batman the Outsiders and didn't know who he was.
I remember when I was younger, his costume used to really annoy me because it wasn't, kind of like symmetrical.
Right.
It was different colours and different areas and things like that. It bugged me because I wanted things to look sort of mirrored.
Interesting. Okay. Paging Dr. Freud. The caption for panel 2 says,
While half a continent away, a certain Snapper car gazes out his window and wonders.
and Snapper is sitting looking very sad, holding his invitation in his hand as he thinks.
Imagine! After the way I betrayed them, the JLA still invited me to their 100th anniversary. I'd give my right arm to go, but I can't. After what I did to them, I just couldn't face them again.
There's an editor's footnote here which says,
the story of Snapper's betrayal appeared in JLA 77.
Which we didn't do, but if you're so inclined, you can go and look it out. Now, the caption for the next panel says,
and in the shadow-strewn back alleys of Gotham City,
2 armed goons, a younger man and an older guy in a hat, are caught in the act. And with a full moon looming in the background, a familiar, dark, avenging figure swings into view on a line. The younger goon cries,
Batman, we've had it!
And his older pal says,
oh, stop falling all over your mouth, Marty, and plug him. It's just one guy.
In the final panel of page 4, Batman takes out Marty with a punch and sorts out the older guy with a kick to the head. Amazing. Thinking, as he does so,
you'd think by now these punks would know better. I'd better wrap them up and get moving. I've got a stop to make on my way to the JLA meeting.
A slow dissolve now as we arrive at the top of page 5, and a caption says,
and 23 trillion miles from Earth, on a lush planet orbiting the star-sun Alpha Centauri, 2 familiar figures arc through the emerald sky.
Yes, we see Adam Strange and Alana flying along with their jetpacks. And Adam says,
according to Sardast's calculations, the Zeta beam won't wear off for several days. Too late for me to attend the Justice League extravaganza. Alana, darling, they'll just have to get along without Adam Strange.
And another handy footnote interrupts us and tells us,
the Zeta beam is a teleportational beam that Earthman Adam Strange uses to travel instantly to the planet Rann.
Awesome. Panel 2 is captioned,
at last we come full circle and return to the JLA's labyrinthine mountain sanctuary.
More heroes have arrived for the party, left to right. In this panel we see the Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Aquaman, Black Canary, Green Arrow and Superman. Superman is saying, 100 meetings is a long time, Flash. Lots of things can happen. Flash replies, I'll say, I was a rookie police scientist when I joined this group. Now I'm a married man. There is a sudden burst of golden light, and a voice says,
really, Flash, that's the most depressing thing I've heard all day. Can't you change the subject?
Superman exclaims, Zatanna? And Flash says, you have the most disconcerting way of dropping in on people, but welcome to the festivities. And in the next panel, Batman arrives with a familiar friend who's all dressed in white. Batman says,
greetings, people. Look who I picked up.
And Superman says, Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. How good to see you again. And Diana replies,
I almost didn't come, Superman. Your friend here had to twist my arm.
In the final panel of page 5, we see on a table in the background a beautiful 3-tiered cake with Justice League of America written on its base and a nice 100 in digits on the top. Green Lantern uses his power ring to create a large cake slice, and he says,
well, now that you are here, why don't you use that pretty arm of yours to help cut the cake? I'm starving.
To which Black Canary says,
you men, all y'all ever think about is your stomachs.
And at the top of page 6, Metamorpho says,
when you have a cast iron stomach like I do, sweetheart, what you put into it doesn't make much difference.
And as Zatanna, Diana and Black Canary maneuver the enormous cake slice into position, Canary replies,
if you like, Metamorpho, we can save the cake cutter for you. To you, it would probably taste delicious.
Green Arrow pipes up with,
come on, girls. Less talk and more action. I'm growing faint with hunger.
And in panel 2, Hawkman says,
Green Arrow, you are growing faint.
And Batman says,
we all are.
Everything has gone very dark, and a weird rushing effect seems to be washing its way over our heroes. Zatanna says,
what's happening to us?
Zatanna's fearful question echoes over and over through the rock-hewn halls, but there is nobody left to answer.
There is more rippling and rushing as the heroes vanish from sight, and the cake slicer Green Lantern created falls to the ground with a... Should it have stayed there after he vanished? Anyway, I don't know. The captioning continues.
Instead, the hapless heroes feel themselves falling through a void, and when light fills their eyes once more...
The heroes are all forming amidst a golden glow, as the elongated man says,
where on earth are we now?
To which Flash replies, you don't know? Oh, that's right. Ralph's never been here before. And in the final panel of page 6, we see a very gloomy-looking bunch of very familiar heroes. And the Flash continues saying, Ralph, didn't he? Permit me to introduce the legendary Justice Society of America. The very large first panel of page 7 introduces us to the assembled Earth 2 heroes.
The Justice Society of America, dynamic defenders of another Earth, banded together in the cause of righteousness. Starman, manipulator of the awesome cosmic rod. Dr. Fate, mystic master of occult and eldritch forces. The Sandman, grim crusader who haunts the dreams of the lawless. Johnny Thunder, muddled master of the magical Batnesian thunderbolts. Wildcat, ex-heavyweight champion who wields his fists in the cause of justice. The Red Tornado, faceless android whirlwind. Dr. Midnight, blind battler for honor and truth. Wonder Woman, the amazing Amazon princess. And the Hour Man, whose miracle pill gives him supercharged energy for 60 fleeting minutes.
Gosh, the caption for panel 2 of page 7 says,
And after the proper salutations have been exchanged,
we see Green Lantern, Flash and Aquaman, all of Earth 1, remember, lined up kind of like that Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. It's quite funny.
Yes.
The Flash says, "You people look like you've been dragged through the mud. What's been happening round here?" Aquaman says,
"Yes. Why did you bring us to Earth 2 so abruptly?"
Before Dr. Fate answers, a footnote reminds us,
Earth 2 is an almost duplicate world, occupying the same space as ours, but vibrating at a different speed.
Interesting. Dr. Fate then replies in the final panel of page 7,
"We have need of help, Aquaman. The sort of help only you and your colleagues can give. Come, I will show you what I mean."
And the caption for the first panel of page 8 says,
The stellar sorcerer strides slowly to the centre of the chamber, silently muttering incantations long thought forgotten, and visions blossom in the dusty air before him.
Yes, Dr. Fate gestures, both hands wide, sparks flying from his fists. And an image appears of the Earth in space, looking like it's about to be grasped by an enormous pale green and sharply taloned hand. The Wonder Wizard speaks.
"This is why I brought you here, Justice League. The reason my mystic powers snatched you from across the dimensional barriers. Look upon the hand that holds the Earth. Twice we have tried to release that evil hand's grip upon our world, and twice we have failed. We are in sore need of help, my friends. That is why we turn to you."
Green Lantern Hal Jordan says at this point,
"I'm not certain we could fare any better, Dr. Fate, unless we know more about that hand. What's it made of? Where's it come from?"
In the next panel, Our Man stands before Dr. Fate's projected image and says, "We're still trying to puzzle out those same questions, Green Lantern. And all we do know is it belongs to a menace who calls himself the Iron Hand. He has given us 48 hours to turn supreme domination of Earth over to him, or that fantastic fist will close and crush our planet to atoms." Our Man gets a nice close-up to round out page 8, and at the top of page 9, Dr. Fate continues,
"You see then our predicament. We are confronted by questions that cry out for answers, but there are none to be had."
He gestures again towards a large, shining globe on a pedestal nearby.
"In desperation, I turn to my mystic crystal in hopes of solution.
The other heroes look on.
But this is all that was revealed to me."
An image forms within the mystic crystal globe, and it shows a monument, flanked by bare, skeletal trees. Hawkman says,
"A grave."
The monument has writing on it that reads, "Here in honoured glory rests an unknown soldier of victory who died that his world might live," which prompts Zatanna to ask,
"That inscription, what does it mean?"
Dr. Fate answers in the next panel, saying,
"Again, I know not. I could pierce the crystal veil no farther. But with your presence here, Zatanna, the scales may at last be tipped in our favour."
Me? What can I do that Dr. Fate can't?
Somewhere beyond the mists of time and space exists the entity known as Oracle, from whom no secrets are withheld. My own abilities are not potent enough to penetrate the barrier, but were we to add your powers, Zatanna, along with those of Johnny Thunder's genie-like servant, to my own, we might have a chance.
Johnny smiles and clicks his fingers as he says,
"Gotcha, Doc. Old Thunderbolt will be here in 2 shakes. Say you."
And amazingly, as Johnny Thunder utters the ancient Batnesian chant, say you,
there's a burst of blue light. And the pink Thunderbolt appears, saying,
You rang, O master of the muddled and mundane?
To which Johnny says,
T-Bolt, Doc Fate and the gang need your help.
That's what I'm here for, Bright Eyes.
And in panel 1 of page 10, we see Dr. Fate, Zatanna, and the Thunderbolt standing around a burning crucible on a pedestal, their arms raised and all clasped, joined together. The caption reads,
Soon darkness envelops the room, an overpowering shadow turned away only by the glow of burning embers and the blazing voice of Dr. Fate. Oracle, you who walk with worlds as your stepping stones, hear my words. We who speak your name in the most humble of voices have need of you this day. Come to us, Oracle. We beseech thee, come to us.
And the caption for panel 2 reads,
There is a singing in the Stygian gloom, the vibrant sound of worlds long gone and galaxies just a-borning, the willful hum of eternity as it skims across the fabric of the cosmos. And then there comes a presence to the Justice Society's hidden sanctum.
A figure forms out of the smoke from the pedestal, looming over Dr. Fate, Zatanna, and the Thunderbolt. A man in long purple robes, with pale skin, long blonde hair, moustache and beard. His eyes are solid, glowing blue, with bursts of red energy within. This new arrival speaks.
Who dares call Oracle from the realm beyond?
Dr. Fate replies,
I dare, Oracle. I, Dr. Fate, who ask no more than a moment's indulgence from one as omnipotent as you.
The enormous figure looks down at Fate in the final panel of page 10, saying,
A moment can be an eternity to some, impudent one, but the name of Dr. Fate has reached my ears often, and naught but good has been said. So, speak what you will, and Oracle will listen.
And the caption for the first panel of page 11 says,
After the tale has been retold once more...
Looming over the heroes, Oracle says,
You seek solutions, Dr. Fate, but that is one thing Oracle cannot give. Your destiny is your own. Oracle can but relate what has been and allow you to choose your own course of action. Even he is not permitted to reveal the future.
The gas-masked figure of the Golden Age Sandman Wesley Dodds says at this point,
Where's that leave us now? If Oracle can't help us, nobody can.
Interesting that Wesley's there, actually, given that part of his power is premonition of a sort. That's quite interesting. I think it's interesting. Oracle gets a close-up in panel 2.
You misunderstand, Sandman. I did not refuse to help you. Come, gaze deeply into the eyes of Oracle, and perhaps you will find what you seek.
He continues in the next panel.
Many of your years ago, a menace similar to the one you now face bestrode your world. The awesome giant, Earthmen, the Nebula Man. Many of your people fell before the might of this bizarre conqueror, until there was only a handful who dared stand against him.
Yes, we see the Nebula Man standing amidst what appears to be some urban wreckage. He's obviously trashed a city or something, and he's an almost featureless humanoid form. His body is a dark, glowing purple, surrounded by an aura, and scattered through with points of glowing yellow. Oracle continues.
At the top of your world they met, these bold champions and terrible Titan, and the earth rang with the sounds of their savage battle, until finally these heroes too fell before the Colossus.
And we see Nebula Man battling 7 colourful figures. One, grasped in its left hand, is a man in a blue shirt, wearing a white cowboy hat, a red scarf face mask, and spurred boots. Swinging in on lines are 2 figures, one dressed in red with yellow gloves and boots, the other in green with red accessories. Both wear Robin Hood-style hats. Trying to wrestle Nebula Man's neck is a man in golden armour wearing a scarlet tunic with a sword at his belt. Rushing towards the action are the others, one in red leggings and a blue cowl and top covered in stars, and another in blue leggings and a top of red and white hoops. Another figure in tight-fitting red brings up the rear. Oracle's narration of these events continues at the start of page 12.
But these valiant warriors were not to be defeated. Again they rose in combat with a new weapon at their command, with one of them sacrificing his life to use that secret weapon to full effect.
We see the Nebula Man in the silhouette of a twisting body, falling through dark clouds.
Such was the courage of the 7 soldiers of victory.
We return to Oracle and the assembled JLA and JSAers, as Starman says,
Then that explains the grave. The dead soldier of victory's buried there.
Sure, says Wildcat. The 7 soldiers of victory. We should have thought of them sooner. Hey, wait a second. There's something wrong here. Then he throws his hands in the air and yells, I can remember. Who in blazes are the 7 soldiers of victory? Our man looks thoughtful. The next panel strokes his chin and says, come to think of it, I can't remember either.
Beats me, chums. I'm stumped,
says Johnny Thunder. And Batman says,
well, don't ask us. Nobody in the JLA remembers the 7 soldiers at all.
What, not even Vigilante? But we'll come back to that. Green Arrow raises a finger to Oracle in the final panel of page 12 and he says,
Okay, Space Face, you've had your jollies. Now let us in on your little secret. Who were the 7 soldiers of victory?
Curious you should ask, Green Arrow, for you, of all who stand here, have the greatest affinity for said group. Gaze into the eyes of Oracle once more, and you shall see why.
Page 13, which will probably definitely end up in the socials, is a full image of Oracle surrounded by the 7 soldiers, as he narrates and introduces us properly to...
The 7 soldiers of victory were not unlike yourselves, bold adventurers gathered together in the name of freedom. The Vigilante, in reality Greg Sanders, the Prairie Troubadour, who fought crimes of the city with the weapons of the plains. The Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy, actually wealthy young Sylvester Pemberton and his bodyguard chauffeur Pat Dugan, who battled injustice in the astonishing Star Rocket Racer. The Crimson Avenger, crusading newspaper publisher Lee Travis, who, with the help of his aide Wing, carried his campaign of crime prevention into the underworld's darkest holds. Sir Justin, the Shining Knight, time-tossed paladin of King Arthur's court, who rode the flying steed Winged Victory against the forces of corruption. The Green Arrow and Speedy, millionaire financier Oliver Queen and his young ward Roy Harper, who bent their longbows to protect the innocent from the grasping claw of evil.
Back in the room, the Justice League's Green Arrow says,
So Earth 2 has a counterpart of me too? So what? Half the JLA has twins on this world. That still doesn't explain why none of us can remember those dudes.
The reason, Green Arrow, is simple. You do not recall the 7 soldiers because they no longer exist.
Wonder Woman of Earth 2 covers her face in surprise and says, the 7 soldiers were our only hope of destroying that horrible hand. If they are dead, so are our chances for survival.
Again is Oracle misunderstood. I meant merely that the 7 soldiers did not exist in this world any longer. At no point did Oracle mention their deaths.
The devil you didn't, says Wildcat. What about that grave on the mountain? And the elongated man says,
My twitching nose smells a strange mystery here. If those missing heroes aren't dead, where are they?
And as Oracle speaks, another image is shown of the 7 soldiers battling the Nebula Man.
They are gone, elongated man, from this time and this place. Mighty were the forces unleashed in the climactic battle against the hell-spawned Nebula Man, forces which tore apart the very fabric of their existences and hurled them headlong through time's infinite corridor.
Standing on Aquaman's shoulder, the Atom says, Then they might just as well be dead for all the good they'll do us. If what you say is true, finding them will be like looking for 7 tiny needles in a universal haystack. We wouldn't stand a cosmic chance.
Yours are defeatist mouthings, Atom, and you are wrong.
Just what is that supposed to mean?
Though the gates of the future are locked, the past is Oracle's province. If you would seek those 7 missing sentinels, Oracle will point the way for you.
Dr. Fate addresses Oracle in the next panel, saying,
Have we any alternative? The future of our world hangs by a single fragile thread. We accept your generous offer, Oracle. Show us the way.
The Oracle gestures and says,
Down 7 of time's corridors must you walk, so deploy your fellows carefully, for those you pursue may no longer be what once they were.
And the large final panel, page 15, is captioned,
Beneath Oracle's eternal watchful gaze, the greatest heroes of 2 worlds separate into 7 groups. 7 bold chances for the salvation of a world.
Yes, this is the stuff. So we see all the little teams that have all formed. We see Aquaman with Green Lantern Hal Jordan and Wildcat. That's a bit random. Even more random, we see Wesley Dodds the Sandman with Metamorpho and Superman. We see Red Tornado with Zatanna and The Flash. That just about works. We see Black Canary with Green Arrow and Johnny Thunder. We see Dr. Fate and the Elongated Man with the atom perched on Dr. Fate's shoulder. And we see Wonder Woman of Earth 2 with Dr. Midnight and Hawkman. And finally we see the lads. We see Batman, Starman and Hourman. And in the first panel of page 16, Batman says to someone who I didn't mention there,
Diana, how about coming along with our man Starman and me?
I'd like to, Batman, but I think he'll stay here. There should be somebody left to brief anyone else who might arrive after you've departed.
If that's the way you want it, Miss Prince, but we'd really like to.
But Batman is interrupted by Oracle, who raises both hands in the air, casting a golden glow and saying,
Enough! It is time! The power that is Oracle now opens the chronal corridors for you and speeds you on your quest.
And Diana Prince watches as the golden glow starts to spread among the heroes. Batman waves to her and says,
Take care of things, Diana, and wish us luck.
His voice fades out, and in a very moodily lit shot, Diana replies, more to herself than anything else,
Good luck, Batman. I pray to Aphrodite that you won't need it.
And the final panel of page 16 is captioned,
Beyond the meager boundaries of reality, 21 colourful figures flash through the abstract void.
There's an image of Oracle's face with all the heroes flying towards him in their groups. Dr. Fate says,
Oracle, for our search to be successful, we must know more of those we seek. How did the 7 soldiers of victory come to be?
And at the top of page 17, there's another headshot of Oracle who says, and we see in his eyes the face of someone we'll meet properly in a sec, called the Hand. An older man with swept back white hair and an incredibly neat dark moustache. Oracle then essentially goes on to narrate a retelling of issue 1 of Leading Comics. So if you have your copy of the 7 Soldiers of Victory Archive, Volume 1 handy, maybe pause now and have a quick flick through that, or else go back to it. Anyway, Oracle says,
Turn your minds back through the years to a time before the 7 you seek had met. Back to the hidden sanctuary of the arch-villain who then was called only the Hand. Turn back to a time when this master manipulator had gathered unto him the 5 greatest menaces your world had then known.
And we see the Hand, in a nice smart green suit at this point, address a group of other villains who are sat around a table. There's Merlin, neatly turned out monocle wearer, whose facial hair makes him look a good candidate for hosting a DC horror anthology with the word house in the title. The Needle, who looks like a cross between Captain Boomerang and the Elongated Man. This chap's a purple outfit with a really bad receding hairline. The Dummy, a malevolent ventriloquist doll. The Red Dragon, a scary looking man in a top hat with a red veil type mask covering his face and an evening suit. And Big Caesar, the most ordinary looking one of them all. A baddie, a buff scruffy guy wearing a cap. Within Oracle's flashback, the Hand is saying, They tell me I'm going to die, which is why I brought you here. The Hand will not die unremembered. You 5 will commit history's greatest crimes at my command, and all the lawmen in the world won't be able to stop you. Oracle continues to narrate.
But the Hand was incorrect, for Green Arrow and Speedy met the malevolent Professor Merlin and his minions in blistering Death Valley, stopping the theft of a fabulous gold mine.
And we see Ollie and Roy firing arrows and trapping goons against some cactuses or cacti, which is fun, as Merlin watches.
The agile Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy battled their old foe the Needle in the Panama Canal Zone to protect a scientist and his vital ray device.
And on top of a building, a processor being constructed, and with a crescent moon high in the background, so take a sip of your drink, we see the Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy in conflict with their skinny foe.
The Shining Knight flew to the hidden Wamoma Valley to protect its simple gentle inhabitants and their treasure from the sinister Red Dragon.
And we see Sir Justin, on winged victory, flying in to confront the Red Dragon as they're both fired upon with a bad guy with a machine gun. Arriving at the top of page 18,
the Crimson Avenger and his aide wing journeyed to teeming Times Square to stop vicious Big Caesar from causing a power blackout that would leave New York City open to mass robbery.
And among and atop the neon lights, we see Lee Travis and his chum tackle Caesar's goons.
And Vigilante raced to Hollywood to smash a bizarre blackmail plot devised by the diabolical dummy.
We see the dummy looking on angrily as Greg Sanders gets stuck into his henchman, which is a great panel. If only there's going to be room for it in the socials.
At last, the winding paths of those 7 brave sentinels led them to the hideaway of the Hand himself, and into the center of an electronic trap.
See, the Hand is about to operate a switch on a piece of machinery. Above him is a large metal cone.
But a well-placed bullet from the Vigilante severed the weapon's supports and ended the Hand's criminal career, seemingly forever.
And the aforementioned cone-shaped structure falls down and strikes the Hand in the back, knocking him to the floor. Looks very painful. Oracle concludes this little history lesson, again facing the flying heroes.
So well did they mesh to defeat that monumental menace that they banded together at the Shining Knight's suggestion to become the 7 Soldiers of Victory.
And amongst all the flying heroes, the 2 doctors are most visible, as Dr. Fate says,
"An amazing story, Oracle, but tell us more of the Hand. Why did you say only seemingly forever?"
All will be revealed to you in time, but now Oracle must speed you to your points of rendezvous, for the quest has begun.
And with that, the heroes all fade out as Oracle directs them to their destinations. And so, we arrive at the top of page 19.
The afternoon air shimmers as 3 daring travelers step through the curtain of time.
And there are logos for Dr. Fate, the Atom, and the Elongated Man. The silhouetted forms of the 3 heroes blink into existence. Elongated Man says,
"Wow! Oracle sure doesn't waste any time. Where do you figure he landed us, Doc?"
Judging from the architecture, Elongated Man, I would assume Mexico, during the height of the Aztec reign.
And perched on Dr. Fate's shoulder, the Atom says, "I agree. The local attire fits that era perfectly." We can see in the background, the distance, a massive temple structure and hundreds of people surrounding it. Elongated Man says,
"From the looks of that crowd, I'd say we're in time for something important."
Our view moves closer. We get a better look at the temple and the steps leading up to the summit.
Hey fellas, take a look at the top of the temple.
A cloud of scarlet smoke, the trademark of the Crimson Avenger.
And we see the Avenger in his distinct red costume with its distinct chest emblem. His uniform has been enhanced by a headdress and a robe of feathers. He's surrounded by spear-bearing guards as Dr. Fate continues,
"We found our man, but he's become king of the Aztecs."
The Crimson has his hands spread wide as he looks down at the crowds all around him. A slow dissolve then as we arrive at the top of page 20.
A short while later, when the tumultuous crowd has finally dispersed,
the 3 heroes are following the Crimson and his 2 guards, taking care not to be seen. Dr. Fate whispers,
"Tread softly, friends. We'd best follow our Crimson Quarry and his companions to quieter quarters before we take any action."
Elongated Man replies,
"I'm way ahead of you, Doc."
Cautiously, the costume trio approaches the great edifice. Dr. Fate mouths a mystic chant, and
in a Kitty Pryde style, they phase through the wall of the temple to emerge in a large chamber. And in the background, in an alcove on the wall, we can see a large, glowing pink rock. The Crimson is still in full regalia, and he's sat on a throne. Elongated Man says,
"A terrific opening, Doc, but it'll never replace the door."
"This is no time for humour, Mr. Dibney. The Crimson Avenger is well guarded. We'd better attract his attention."
On the caption for panel 3.
And moments later,
Elongated Man stretches towards the Crimson with a finger to his lips, and he whispers,
"Psst, Avenger, keep quiet. We're here to help you escape."
The Crimson whirls around and sees the other heroes. He cries,
"What? Intruders! Guards, come quickly, quickly!"
"Something tells me we made a boo-boo,"
says the Elongated Man. "Let's get the heck out of here," says the Atom. And in the final panel of page 20, the Crimson stands and blasts bolts of electricity from his hands at the heroes, saying,
"You will be going nowhere, strange ones, till you answer some questions."
The heroes are all knocked out, falling backwards. Dr. Fate exclaims, "Ugh!" Excellent. That's my favourite bit ever. The top of page 21 now.
When the soldiers 3 come to,
Soldiers 3, let's be honest, sounds like a crap superhero team name that Roy Thomas would have tried to introduce at Marvel 2 or 3 years before this.
Yeah.
Elongated Man and Dr. Fate are chained to a wall, their hands above their heads. Elongated Man says,
What did the Crimson Avenger hit us with? I feel like a stretched out rubber band.
My condition is not unlike yours, friend Dibney. These chains do little to ease the discomfort. Is the Atom awake yet?
And suddenly the Atom, still shrunk to dog size, drops into view, landing on Dr. Fate's shoulder, saying, Surprise a spring, Doc! I'm so small the Avenger and his goons didn't even notice me. The Crimson can be seen arriving in the bottom corner, panel 2, and in panel 3, we see the Atom has moved round to hide behind Dr. Fate's helmet, as the Crimson Avenger addresses them and says,
So, prisoners, you are awake at last. Who sent you to spy on Huitzilopochtli, the sun god?
Sun God? You're no sun god. You're the Crimson Avenger. A hero we've journeyed through the centuries to find.
And a very indignant-looking Crimson replies,
I am a god. Who else could wield such power? The power given me when I fell from out the sky.
Apparently, my friend, you're suffering from delusions,
says Dr. Fate, and his hands suddenly flash with golden light as the chains binding him and Elongated Man shatter, setting them free. Dr. Fate says,
A condition easily cured once we get you away from this time.
The Crimson Avenger recoils backwards, crying out,
What sorcery? They free themselves! Guards! Guards!
In the first panel of page 22, 2 guards arrive. One cries,
Rash intruders, you are doomed!
As Elongated Man stretches to deal with them across the room, Dr. Fate and the Crimson face each other. The Crimson says,
I will not be so lenient again. This time I will turn you to ashes.
Forgive me, my friend, but this time I fear I cannot cooperate so readily.
And with that, in the next panel, the Crimson Avenger blasts his pink electrical energy, and Dr. Fate fights back with his own golden burst, thinking,
Wherever his powers stem from, they're awesome. I barely managed to maintain my ground.
In panel 3, Ralph punches out the guards, saying,
I'd say you guys have been watching too many old Peter Lorre movies. Except for the fact that they haven't invented television yet.
And the guards, as they're punched out, make some nice noises like, Oof! In the shadows, the Atom thinks, E-Man is holding his own, but it looks like Dr. Fate's in trouble. And in panel 4, he runs towards Dr. Fate and the Avenger, dodging Ralph and the guards as he thinks, I better lend my tiny talents to the good doctor while there's still time. That's assuming I don't get stepped on in the process. See him avoiding feet and shoes as he goes. And in panel 5, the Atom jumps upwards, launching himself forwards, thinking, Phew! Made it! This swinging spear shaft will make a dandy little catapult to send me to the point of the matter, namely, the point of the Crimson Avenger's jaw. And now, with a switch of my size and weight controls to give me the heft of a 180-pound man, and at that, the Atom successfully sends a Crimson flying backwards with a kick to the face. Superb! Dr. Fate says,
Excellent, Atom, but we must discover the source of his powers before he regains consciousness.
And in panel 2, Elongated Man says,
My mystery-loving nose has been hard at work through this skirmish, Doc, and it keeps sniffing out the same thing.
And his left hand stretches towards the luminous pink rock in the alcove we saw earlier on page 20.
This strange glowing rock!
Elongated Man continues, and then throws the rock into the air, saying,
If I'm wrong, we can apologize later. But if I'm right, we'd better get rid of the rock fast!
I am in complete agreement, Ralph.
And in panel 4, Dr. Fate blasts it, shattering the rock into many pieces, and Dr. Fate says,
And so, the rock is gone.
And the caption for the final panel of page 23 says,
And when the echoes of the explosion fade,
the Crimson rubs his forehead and says,
Where am I? What's happened to me? Who are you?
Dr. Fate gestures, creating a transparent globe around the guards, and then replies,
First, a spell of suspension to restrain your guards, and then all will be explained to you.
Top of page 24, the first caption reads,
After explanations are made,
the Crimson Avenger discards his robe and headdress, throwing them onto the throne as he says,
A fantastic story. Apparently, when I was hurled through time, a chunk of the shattered Nebula Man was thrown along with me, stealing my memory and imbuing me with the powers you describe.
Suddenly,
a cloud started to surround the heroes as the Crimson says,
What is it? That smoke! It's not crimson like my own.
Unless I am mistaken, Avenger, it is our passport to the future. Oracle is bringing us home.
To which the Atom says, Yeah, But is he bringing us home in time?
And in a darkened laboratory in another plane of existence, there is another whose thoughts are concerned with time.
A darkly silhouetted figure looks up at a screen showing Earth in the grip of an enormous green hand. And at the large clock on the wall in front of him, he says, "They move so slowly, the hands of the clock, almost as if they were taunting me, telling me I will not succeed." And in the final panel of this issue, this figure is revealed in the spotlight, a familiar figure of an older white man with swept-back white hair and a neat dark moustache. He's wearing an orange tunic with the image of a gloved fist on the chest, brown sleeves and leggings. He raises a literal iron fist to the camera as he continues, "But they were all wrong, dead wrong. The earth will bow before my demands, and the iron hand will hold dominion over all." And the caption box says,
Next issue, The Hand That Shook the World.
And another caption reads,
Next issue on sale on or about July 18th.
But you won't have to wait a month for the next exciting issue of the JLA, because that's going to be in our very next episode.
What an exciting cliffhanger for the end of part one of this exciting epic. We are not going to do our usual discussion, and we're saving that for a special episode at the end of all three parts. But we will still be posting some exciting bonus content for this episode on our social media. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Earth2 Podcast, or on Twitter at podcast_Earth2 for more exciting content.
Yep. Plenty of extra stuff popping up on Facebook and Instagram this week to tide you over until episode 2 arrives. Episode 2 will be with you in 1 week.
So until then, I've been Peter.
And I've been David. Thank you for joining us, and everyone else. We'll see you soon on
the Earth2 Podcast.
You have been listening to
Zatanna was played by Alison Steele. Adam Strange was played by Arion Zenos. Snapper Carr was played by Brandon Peters.
Earth 1 Diana Prince was played by Christine Panton. Earth 1 Green Arrow was played by Chuck Loridans. Metamorpho was played by the irredeemable Shag. Earth 1 Green Lantern and the Thunderbolt was played by Gavin Ritza.
Black Canary was played by Kelly Blair. Elongated Man was played by Max Trevor. Sandman was played by Rich Fulham.
The Martian Manhunter was played by Robert George. Starman was played by Ross Aitken.
The Crimson Avenger and Johnny Thunder were played by Steve Higgins. And the two seedy, nasty Gotham bad guys were played by Cameron Linden.
The Atom, the Flash, Superman, Wildcat, Hourman, the Iron Hand, and Earth 2 Wonder Woman were played by David Steele.
Batman, Aquaman, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Simon Stagg, and Oracle were played by your very own Peter Watson.
All other parts were played by your hosts.
Transmatter Cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.